Welcome to another edition of Inside the Islanders. Cory Arsenault guesting with Troy Vance here this afternoon. Troy, 20-year-old defenseman with the Charlottetown Islanders. Welcome to the program. First of all, Troy, let's get into this season and specifically last night, maybe in Halifax. Talk a little bit about the game and how you thought it went.
We didn't come out with the start we wanted, and then it carried over for the rest of the game. It's hard to play catch-up, especially when a team gets a good jump on you like that, but it didn't end the way we wanted to, but we showed up today for practice with a good work ethic, and the boys were ready to go. No complaining, had a good hard practice, and working for the road trip coming up.
Obviously, the Islanders off to a terrific start this season, above a lot of expectations. So what have you seen that's been the difference since coming back from your pro camp in Dallas?
I said, I think in one of the first interviews I had here, we're really resilient. The team doesn't give up. We battle to the end, like full 60 minutes, whether we start out well or not, but there's a good, strong fight right to the end.
You look at this team and compare it to last year's. You were acquired at the trade deadline from Victoriaville. You came in. There was already a real veteran presence on the blue line with Jimmy Olingi, Alex Mikolev, along with Thomas Pavalka. You were brought in, played a 3-4 role with the defense. This year, all of a sudden, there's not as many veterans back. Is that something you really enjoyed, that role, stepping up and filling that void?
Yeah, it's been good. I love being on the ice. It's one of those things where the more I'm on the ice, the more comfortable I feel. So it definitely helps playing more minutes and knowing that you're going back out.
Let's rewind here a little bit and get to know Troy Vance somewhat. From Pennsylvania, a different route coming here to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. What was it like growing up, and how big was hockey in your life?
Hockey's been everything, like playing ball hockey in the backyard 3-4 hours a day just as a little kid. It's probably where I got some of my offensive stuff, and then it's one of those things where anytime I could get on the ice with another team or a coach of my little brother's team, I was doing it just to get on the ice because I just couldn't get off.
Is hockey in Pennsylvania, I know in the States, is big, but in your area, is it also big as well? Where exactly you're from?
Originally, I was from New York, but moved down to Philly, and it's growing a lot more than it has in the past few years. But I'm moving to Wilkes-Barre next summer to go up there and train, and hockey's way bigger up there.
So, Philadelphia boy, is that a Flyers fan growing up?
Absolutely not. No, I grew up a Devils fan, so I didn't want a bandwagon when I jumped to Philly, so there wasn't really much to jump onto either, so.
As an American kid growing up, obviously a priority road for a lot of them is U.S. college. Is that something that came along your paths growing up, and how did you decide on the major junior route?
I was playing juniors back home, and I had gotten a couple offers from divisional schools, or a couple looks where they were interested, and I had Dallas had seen me play at a showcase when I was playing junior A, and they sent another scout down and asked me if I wanted to go to a 48-hour skate with Victoriaville. So I said, I talked to my trainer and my parents about it, and it just seemed like it was the best fit for me, just focusing on hockey and making sure I developed the right way, and just kind of went up there, and it happened all pretty quick.
So when you hear Victoriaville, what goes through your mind?
It was definitely a starting point for me. I learned a lot while I was there, definitely learning the pace and the way the league works and the pro lifestyle, but definitely felt more at home here.
A bit of a connection with Victoriaville. Obviously, former Rocket coach Yannick Jean was the head coach there for you. What was it like playing under him?
It was a bit different systems, but you have to learn how to adapt to everything, so it definitely helps seeing both sides of everything.
So when the trade came last year and the Islanders pulled the trigger to bring you to Charlottetown to the PEI Rocket, what was your reaction?
I was more shocked. I didn't really know about anything with the trade or anything until like about 9 o'clock at night, so I packed up and left the next day. But I had actually trained here the previous summer with 2 weeks with trainer Kevin here at the Andrew Sports Center, so I had been familiar with the city a little bit, so it wasn't that big of a jump.
So you come down here last year, and obviously last season's history, last year's team, a lot of firepower with Josh Curry and Ben Duffy, number 1 and number 3 in league scoring. This year, it's a little bit different. It's scoring by committee. You can't rely on that big gun. Is that something that, has really been a focus here in the dressing room, knowing that each night some player has to step up in order for the team to be successful?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we're doing so well is we're not relying on one guy. everyone's contributing, and it definitely helps, because if you rely on one guy, guys start slacking off or not worrying about like being that guy, and everybody here has been it the entire season.
A question mark maybe going into the season for some was the back end. Obviously, goaltending, Antoine Bibeau-Bibbs was outstanding last year. They knew they were going to be solidified in goal. Looking for a backup, Eric Brassard's come in. He's been terrific as well. But really on the blue line, you look at it, yourself and Ryan Graves logging some key minutes. Anthony Cortese and Kevin Lalibauté. Talk about them, two guys you played last year, and how they've kind of developed into playing a much bigger role with this team this year.
You can definitely see a difference. You can see they're a lot more confident with the puck, and it definitely shows out there. They're logging a lot more minutes, and I think by the end of the season we're going to need to lock down D.
You look at the back end. Have you played in front of two better goaltenders than Bibeau and Brassard? Maybe the best duo, not only in the Q, but maybe the whole Canadian Hockey League.
Yeah, they're definitely a good 1-2 punch. It doesn't really matter who's in net each night. It's one of those things. Sometimes guys worry about what goalie's going in, but I mean, it really doesn't matter at all. They've both been outstanding so far.
A big road trip coming up here for the Islanders in Quebec City on Saturday and in Rimouski on Sunday. Obviously, two tough tests to stack yourself up against some tough competition. You've had an experience of playing in the Colisée, the biggest rink in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. A lot of kids in the room. It's going to be their first time playing in front of the big fans and the big ice surface, and the atmosphere is unbelievable. What would be some of the advice you would give to some of the youngsters and playing on a stage like that?
Look around, get it over with in warm-ups, and once the game starts, let the roar take over and just focus on each shift.
This year, obviously, a whole new turnaround. You played last year, a few months with the Rocket organization as it sailed off into the sunset. Your thoughts on everything that's new this year in Charlottetown?
It's been great. I mean, the coaching staff's been awesome. The new addition with the jerseys and the ownership and management right down to the bottom, it's been outstanding.
You had a stint at Dallas with the Stars, obviously coming back as a 20-year-old. What was your experience like this year with them, and what were they saying to you in sending you back here to the island?
It was great being there. You learn something every time you step on the ice, because there's so many guys with so much knowledge there, and playing against guys at such a high caliber, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, just being on the ice with them, it's kind of opened your eyes to a lot of things of what it's going to take to get to the next level even, and coming back here, they just wanted me to hone my game, fill some holes, be more solid defensively, and just work on it and get ready for next season.
So in saying that, what are some of the things in practice, and not only practice in games, that you're really trying to focus in at to make yourself a more complete defenseman?
Definitely locking down my D zone, being a lot more physical in the corners, and making sure I still get my first pass, and honing my some of the stuff on the blue line with my offense and my shot.
And it's worked, obviously, last game against Val-d'Or. Anthony Mantha, one of the top players. You and Ryan Graves were on the ice, really shut him down. Is that something as a top defenseman you really look forward to, not only putting up the points, but shutting down the top forwards as well?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. You go into a game, you know who you're playing against, and at the end of the game, if you can come out and say you shut them down to absolutely nothing, it's a really good feeling. All
right, Troy, great getting to know you here. And that's another installment of Inside the Islanders. I'm Cory Arsenault.